Alright, so this video was inspired by the whole Mr. Beast fiasco. Basically, he went into different countries of Africa. He was installing water wells, about 100, or he did 100 water wells in different African countries. And surprisingly, there was an uproar with just Africans, West Africans from the UK, the US, is from what I've noticed. And a lot of the sentiment was just circled around him trying to be a white savior. I could tell a lot of them don't know who Mr. Beast was. So in this video, I'm going to try to break down different points of understanding why some people have a little bit of animosity when it comes to Westerners or white people just trying to do some philanthropy work in Africa. So I'm going to talk about that, and also stick around to the end of the video. I'm going to talk about a story that can be inspirational on your own journey of entrepreneurship if you're trying to do something in Africa. So I'll see you there. So I heard about Mr. Beast maybe about a year ago, and I saw like one viral video of him doing some different projects. So basically I actually watched a documentary or a short documentary on who he was, and he was just talking about how he got started, where he was when he was younger, and him and his mom, single parent household, and how he raised. I'll drop the link to that video in this video's description so you can check it out. But basically, he just started YouTube just to entertain people, and he was just trying to do something where, okay, let me just do something fun. He wasn't really feeling school, and he just started trying to entertain people. And then he noticed his channel started to grow, so he was doing more crazy things. He would ask for requests from people of what things he should do on camera. He'll do it. The one notable thing that he did was, I think he counted to 10,000, like starting at 1 or something like that. There's some video, if you search it, there's some video where he just counted 1, 2, 3, 4. I think it was up to 10,000. I think that's what it was. So that's kind of what he did. And some notable things he did was just giving homeless people about $10,000. He funded cataract surgeries for about 1,000 blind people. One of his biggest videos, he actually recreated the whole Squid Games and gave almost $500,000 to the winner. So I mean, so knowing that his background, he's always helped people in the past, and so it's kind of ridiculous that people are actually getting upset. Africans were getting upset, or really Africans in the diaspora were getting upset that he was going to build these 100 wells in several African countries. But it seemed to be a lack of focus on just the villages that he helped get clean drinking water. I'm sure they weren't upset. And once again, if you want to learn more about who he is and what he's about, you can always just look at my video's description. You're going to see the link right there. Go to the link, look at his whole biography, and you can see what he's about, and then you can get your own perspective. But basically, he's been helping people and doing philanthropy work for years. Like, this is nothing new. Going to different African countries and building wells, this is nothing new for him. So it's not like it's an NGO coming in here and just doing whatever. So yeah, definitely check out that link after this video, and then you'll see what I'm talking about. All right, so what's the cause of it? What's the cause for all this mistrust? It's actually kind of easy. Colonialism or slavery. Then you had colonialism. And then, of course, books like The Economic Hitman explaining what Western powers would do to less unfortunate or smaller countries and try to implant their own figureheads for whatever mission that they have going on. What else happens? International puppets, especially during colonialism. A lot of these, the British, America wasn't a colonial power, but France, they would install these fake puppets to say, okay, they're bringing in democracy, but they weren't free thinking in their own mind. So just a history of this going on and on. There's no reason, there's going to be a reason why people mistrust when outsiders, specifically coming from the West, try to do anything positive in just Africa. It makes people think that, hey, okay, what's the ulterior motive that you really got going on? I don't like charity and so much because it just makes people beggars, especially when it comes to those clothing and shoe drives, donations, and just the effects that it has on the local economy. It stops local entrepreneurs from really producing these products because it's already being dumped on them. And these are some of the, I mean, there's been some scandals with these donation centers anyway, so I'm always particular about it. I don't really care for them. And of course, just people just think it's another modern way to control African countries. Debt trap, for instance, the IMF giving all these loans, that's one, and it kind of puts these African countries in a position it forces them to be an ally. So yeah, I mean, these mistrusts and these nefarious things that has happened to African heads of state, there's no reason. I mean, there's a reason why there is mistrust, and that's just part of it. All right, so usually what happens after this, and a lot of talks that I hear is people saying, okay, well, Africa needs to stick to its own, do its own thing, cut the outside world off. We should only do business with Africans. And it just lets me know that a lot of these Africans, these West Africans or whatever, are ignorant on history, because this has been done before. And the biggest cause of defeat, so I did my history on just Nigeria, the West African economics, and what happened, why these European powers are able to come over, colonialize, and just control the land. And it just comes down to technological advancement in military weaponry and stuff like that. And so the Europeans, because they were a trading nation, they had to, because they didn't have a lot of resources, in the Caucasus Mountains or whatever up there. So they had to be able to trade with other groups of people, the other cultures, especially the Chinese, understanding gunpowder, how to use it. They was able to develop guns. They was able to really is the machine gun that came and just slaughtered. I mean, that was like the game changer when they came over to a lot of these West African countries. The machine gun just came and did heavy work. So because they was able to trade, because they wasn't closed off, they was able to advance their own agenda. So this mindset of just saying, okay, Africans need to just stick by themselves is unrealistic. It's not going to happen. And it's just foolish thinking. If you understand history, you understand that it never works. One thing you should just always keep in mind is no one has a monopoly on superior ideas, knowledge, wisdom. Everyone has contributed to the advancement of this world in some way or another. So to just think that you have everything that you need and you don't need anyone else's input or anyone else's perspective is just, it's not wise. That's not the wise way to go. And two examples of countries that did this in the past. The first one was China, where they were a superior nation way back before the Europeans or whatever. They were superior, and they knew that they were superior. Their naval fleet was amazing, incredible, it was strong. And what they decided to do was, hey, you know what? We don't need anything from anyone else. We can close off. And what ended up happening is just they became backwards. When they finally decide to open up, they was behind, they was lagging, and it was just because there was just no advancement, there was no challenging of the common idea that was going on. And then of course North Korea, you see how North Korea is, they closed themselves off ever since the Soviet Union fell, and really did just work on their military industry and just put all the money in that. But when people did take pictures and people talk about what's going on in North Korea, they're backwards, they don't know technology, like they're just slow. And that's what happens when you just stick to yourself. If you don't work with other people, you're going to get behind. So get out of your head this mindset of Africa just only need to do business with Africans. It's stupid, it doesn't work, and it's not going to be helpful to the people and the inhabitants that actually are in Africa, and specifically for my interest, West Africa. All right, so say you want to invest in Africa, you want to do something that helps the people over there. You want to do it directly because you don't trust NGOs, you don't trust any other type of group to do it. So the first thing I would recommend that you do that will be very important is understand macro and microeconomics. Having a basic understanding of just economics can can go longer and get you in the right frame of mind of just thinking how to help people, how things work, understanding human behavior, understanding just the incentives that influences people to act a certain way. So economics, understand human behavior is really huge. And then at the same time, just understanding the social norms in the area that you're trying to go to, and just how people act normally or in a regular fashion is going to be different a lot of times. Just remind yourself to not imperialize them with your own ideas. You can have good ideas, but you also want to keep in mind, it's like, this is not a situation of some type of paternalistic relationship where you're going in to save them, because you don't have to be white to be that whole savior complex. If you're going in with the mindset of just thinking, okay, well, they don't know any better, I'm gonna go ahead and tell them what they need, how they need to think about and stuff like that, then you're not really helpful at all. And I remember personally, when I was looking at trying to do something in Nigeria, I had that mindset. It wasn't until I really started making more trips over there and just seeing, okay, I gotta take a step back, because I'm starting to do what I don't like what other people do, which and trying to impose my thoughts and how things should operate on them. Instead, I took a step back and tried to just understand, like, what's the best way that I can be helpful to them, and what I need to do so that they're able to function and succeed without me just telling them exactly what to do. When it comes to African governments, just understand that, of course, they have a lot of challenges. We all know about the corruption that goes on, but I will say specifically certain things that and maybe you can find a way where you can be of benefit, you can be of help, and you can add value to these governments. So a lot of them just have lack of vision. So with that just comes with poor leadership. I also think it's the political structure, because a lot of these countries are like around 65 years old, and they haven't been in existence that long since colonialism. So what they have set up is a Western type of political system where every 4 years there's a new head of state, there's a new president. And if you're building a country from scratch, that too much change like that, you can't really build a strong foundation. Now it can work if you have this certain variables in place, like one country I'm thinking of is Botswana. Since they were able to get their independence, then it's been pretty stable, a transition of power. They all in lockstep of where they want to be. But I think a lot of these countries need to revisit the political structure that they were given essentially from their former colonizers. So political structure, lack of cash flow, since a lot of them in the past have mismanaged funds, have stolen funds, and all the other things that we hear about. They don't have cash flow like that. They don't have a good tax system set up so that they can get funds. And so a lot of them just end up taking loans, so IMF loans or loans from the Chinese Communist Party and what they do. And basically, of course, you have to pay the loan back with interest. So like debt servicing takes a lot of the free cash that they would have. And then, of course, the biggest thing is just incompetence. A lot of these people that are working in government are just incompetent. And it's unfortunate, but that's just how it goes. So you got that going on. There are three products that I did come across in international philanthropy products that seem to be doing a good job. You can always look more into it and look for other ones, but just for inspiration and ideas, the first one is the Tony Elumelu Foundation. Is the Nigerian. He focuses on training and educating like the next entrepreneurs, and has classes and even gives them some capital, some seed money when they're getting started. Then you have the MasterCard Foundation. They're more about like giving some money for startups that are trying to like get their foot in and things of that nature. And then you have the Gavi, the Vaccine Alliance. So yeah, we all kind of feel a certain way about vaccines right now, but they do help in just eradicating like polio, like those common viruses that, is it viruses or bacteria? Okay, but situations like that, they do help with giving out vaccines. And of course, you know, medical organizations or medical companies, private, public, whatever it is, or I guess it's going to be private, they can also pair up with these like organization like them, the Alliance, the Vaccine Alliance, and then they can get to the point where they can create their own vaccines. The host country can create their own vaccines. Of course, that's more ideal, because there is mistrust when it comes to vaccines because of past grievances that has been happening to a lot of these West African countries and African countries. All right, so I've been saying this for a while. I think there's too much focus on just getting college degrees in a lot of these African countries. So I'm just gonna keep it to West Africa because that's, of course, my interest. But there's too much focus on just going to college and getting college degrees. It's a model that was set up for the West because of where they were in their development. But for us, we're still trying to develop just basic infrastructure. So the focus really needs to be on vocational training, getting practical skills where you can start building businesses, roads, really, because a lot of our roads are just jacked up. So building roads, just infrastructure like that. And then, of course, buildings, hospitals, schools, and all that other stuff. But then you start to transition. Okay, we can start getting people with degrees to start to help us out. I would say when it comes to college education, what will be a wise and a strategic thing to do is to start reaching out to the diasporas that are already outside. So talking about West Africa, there's a lot of us abroad that have certain skills, have our college degrees, we paid all the money, then start adding incentives to reverse that brain drain and get them back, because they're ready. That time that it will take to get someone trained to be in a certain industry that you need, you can just get it with the diaspora. Have some type of incentive program where it gets them back there. So while the diasporans are coming back, then at the same time you're building up your workforce, so you can create the infrastructure that they can both work together and can eventually get to the place where everyone is prospering at the same time. So we'll talk about, as far as vocational mechanics, construction crews, utilities, all the utilities needed, especially when it comes to big data, transferring of data, all that stuff we need help with. And also a biggest thing is just understanding the agribusiness value chain and having people in every area of it. So not just subsistence farming, not just basic stuff like that, like also, the processing and how we can sell it to just the market, the global market out there. So we definitely need that, as opposed to just more college degree students that graduate and they don't have no job and no place to work. Like the biggest thing is, like the federal government cannot be the biggest employer. It just doesn't work. They're not supposed to be. It's supposed to be the private sector that employs people. And if we don't have people creating jobs, or we don't have the practical skills where we have the infrastructure where the own citizens can build up the infrastructure, then it's just always going to be a problem. You're always going to have to take out loans. You're not creating value. It's just it's just a mess all the way around. If you want to have a life that's really beneficial and really productive, then focus on results. Don't focus on activities. So with the whole Mr. Beast situation, a lot of people is focusing on, it's this white person that comes over to Africa and does these things, build these well. At the end of the day, what's the result? Clean water for the villages that had to trek a long journey, especially the children. It's all in the video. Just watch the video yourself if you haven't. That had to trek a long journey in order to get fresh water for school. Then they had to come back. Sometimes they got to do it multiple times a day. At the end of the day, they don't have to do that anymore. So that's the benefit. That save time. They're more productive with their day. They can work on something else. Now, of course, I would like to see an ongoing type of plan and it doesn't have to come from Mr. Beast. I'm not saying that, but I would like to see, there needs to be further development on these type of skills that can do this for anyone, can build wells, like that type of blue collar work, vocational training, all that type of stuff. I like to see just a development. I hope it'll be nice, or it'll be great if those type of skills are being taught in the schools, if they have a program for that. But that would really be good. So at the end of the day, they was able to get some fresh water. That's what we all care about. That's what we want. And if you still have a problem with people trying to help, well, you're saying there's not enough transparency. Well, I'll say the biggest way to have, or the only way to have full transparency, is to be on the ground yourself, to be doing something yourself. Or you can even be abroad and do some type of program where you're training people through online, you're being a mentor, you're helping out in that way. But just do something. Don't just complain and just sit there and then just you're irrelevant at this point. You're just blowing out hot air. So be in the fight yourself, be in the trenches yourself, and get down and dirty. Say, hey, you know what? I want to make sure that whatever work is being done really benefits the people. So you can be that one to to start it. And just coming back to Mr. Beast, because a lot of people was criticizing him. They were saying that, oh, he's just trying to take advantage of. Remember that he's just a private citizen. He's not an NGO. And you know, NGOs like to stay in these countries and they really just like to just incapacitate people at a point where they don't teach them how to do stuff on their own. He just came in, built some wells. Okay, take it from there. I don't know what else happened on the back end, but he's one person. He's an individual. He's not an NGO. He's not a government entity. Relax. Like it's not that nefarious or like some people is just going real wild with it. So no, he's just a regular person. You can do the same thing on a smaller scale or on a bigger scale, depending on where you are. It's like you can get stuff done if you want to. So don't fret over it. All right, so just to sum it up, just going back to Mr. Beast, remember he's just one individual. He's not an NGO. So I think all the backlash that he was getting was just ridiculous. A lot of people was able to benefit from his kind heart and what he was doing. You don't have to take it so seriously where it's just white person that's, hey, you know, they're just doing something. Like, don't paint all white people with one brush that they all want to do some nefarious acts. Like it just won't work. And also at the same time, just being wanting to isolate yourself and or you wanted the country or the continent to just isolate themselves all to themselves, only work with Africans, whatever. It doesn't work. That's in the past. Maybe that worked in the past to a certain point, but hey, this is a global world. This is a global economy. We're all connected. Everyone wants to get in. Everyone's looking for a deal from themselves. Like, we're just human. That's just how we operate. And if you want to see your own home country grow, then you have to understand that there's people everywhere that have expertise that can benefit your own country. So really, you know, we're thinking about the future. Think about the future. Don't dwell and live in the past. Of course, proceed with caution. Use wisdom in everything, but so proceed with caution. But don't get stuck in just living in the past and always being mad and always just having these stereotypes of one group of people versus this one group of people. You're not a smart individual if that's how you operate. You're just not. So everything is, you know, the world is just like shades of gray. It's not just black and white. There's always nuances to everything. So just keep that in mind with whatever you're trying to do. And then even if you don't have any ideas of what to, like, you can always, because we're connected digitally anyway, if you want to mentor online, if you want to create a book, a digital book online that can help certain people, if you want to create a course online, if you want to do anything that can help a certain community in need, or if you want to just make your trips maybe once a year when you do go on vacation, hey, you go down there and there's a mission that you want to accomplish while you're on vacation. Think of creative ways. Just go on Google and just ask, like, hey, what are ways where a diasporan can contribute to their country? And then it's going to spit out a whole bunch of ideas that you can do. So you can always teach, mentor, and write a book like what I say. And you don't need that much money to make a difference. Like, you can, if you're sincere about it, then you can figure out a way where you can be very impactful and invest in other people as well that you see that are actually doing the work to be successful and to help their own town. Hopefully this video was able to hit all the objectives I said I was going to talk about today, and then offer you some value, some things to think about, and you learned something today. Definitely appreciate you. Always look in all my videos descriptions to see exactly what I offer. So I'll have the links up to Mr. B's biography, and then I have other links as well that I have. All right, so hopefully this video was able to hit on all the objectives that I was able to. So hopefully this video was able to fulfill all the objectives that I said I was going to in the beginning of this video. You were able to gain some information, some knowledge, you learned something, and also made you think about certain things, see different perspectives. So that's always the goal of my videos. Look at this video's description to see some of the links that I'll talk about. So the bio Mr. Beast. So you can check that out. And also I have some other links going to my social media pages, my IG page, and then my meetup groups. If you're in the DMV area, you want to join a meetup, then definitely look. I got those links right there. And if you're trying to get started on your journey of just being an entrepreneur, trying to learn the basics, you're trying to understand how to build the right habits, really your personal development part, I have a course that you can check out as well, where I just talk about the basics of how to get started, how to build the right habits so that you can be more successful at being a wealthy entrepreneur. So check that out in the video's description. Like this video and share this video if you think it can also help someone else, and subscribe to the channel. Click the bell so that you're alerted when I do drop new videos. So I want to include this last story, so thank you for waiting to the end. And it's about Andrew Carnegie, or Carnegie, that's how you pronounce it. Scotland. He's Scottish. So if you maybe some of you all don't know who Andrew Carnegie is, but basically he created a whole steel empire in the early 1900s in America, and he was one of the richest people, or I think at some point he was the richest person in the world. And his backstory is basically he came from Scottish. He was an immigrant in Scotland. His family was really poor, came over to America. He applied himself. He always studied. He found something that he enjoyed, one area, one place of his life that or industry that he enjoyed. He was an apprenticeship for one of the railroads. And then, so you can look at the documentaries that can explain it more in depth, but it was really interesting story where he got all this success. He was criticized, of course, and you're always going to get the haters when you become successful. It's just part of the game. But what he was able to do was so before he died, he donated and created foundations in his hometown of Scotland. And so they're benefiting from it. I think he helped give money to University of Scotland or something like that, but educational purposes. In America, he built a whole bunch of libraries. So that was one thing I noticed. He kept on building libraries. He wants people to read. He had his own, he also has his own books. I think his famous one was how to influence and win, how to make friends and influence people, or something like that. So he's really successful, big on reading, and he was able to do this because of the hard work that he put in. So you too can, if you're in America or you're in the UK, you're abroad, you can get amazing success and then start doing strategic investments inside your home country. I like investments in education just because it teaches people how to think. So, but you can do what you want to do, whatever you feel that is important to you, then you can go ahead and do it. So, hey, if Andrew Carnegie, one of the richest people in the world in history, can do something amazing coming from a poor background, then you can do it too. And you most likely probably not even coming from a poor background. So there's a lot that we can do. We just think differently, understand the social climate that we're in now, how things are different, utilize and leverage technology to your benefit. And whatever you have an interest in, hey, someone else is going to have an interest in it as well. Go ahead and help them and help them in their own journey. So till next time, I'll see you in the next video.